Hi everybody. The first video on the objectives of ECECE, though had given you an insight of how an early learning center should function, a detailed view of the responsibility of these centers in terms of milestone goals with certain specified activities to be provided for children in 0 to 3 years and 3 to 6 years has to be explained to you. The domains wherein the developmental milestones have been specified are sensory and perceptual development, physical, health and motor development, language development, cognitive development, and development of creative and aesthetic appreciation. And the last one is personal, social, and emotional development. Towards the end of this video, you will be able to realize the list of developmental goals as laid by National ECCE Policy for Children under 3 years and 3 to 6 years. The National ECCE policy had put forth the developmental milestone goals to be achieved by the learning centers or a play school for that matter, or even the home environment, serving the children of 0 to 3 years and 3 to 6 years separately as listed to you as per the core objectives of ECCE. First domain of sensory and perceptual development. The table would give you about 0 to 3 years and to 3 to 6 years respectively. For 0 to 3 years, develop 5 senses through visual, auditory, olfactory and kinesthetic experiences. The same for 3 to 6 years, it is by demonstrating the use of all 5 senses, sight, hear, feel, taste, smell, to guide movements and recognize objects. The second activity is how to make them learn to control and coordinate their reflexes and coordinate sensory perceptions and simple motor behaviors which need not be focused for 3 to 6 years. Then, displaying awareness of location and spatial relationship gains importance in 0 to 3-year-old children. Whereas in 3 to 6 years, it is all about the awareness of space, direction, distance, quantity, etc. Then, the next domain of physical, health and motor development. Develop coordination and control of large motor muscles is the crux for 0 to 3 years as well as for 3 to 6 years. Developing the strength and coordination of small motor muscles is also for 0 to 3 years and 3 to 6 years. However, for 3 to 6 years, coordination of fine muscles with better eye-hand coordination is needed. Then, for 0 to 3 years, the learning centers has to integrate the movements of various parts of their body. Whereas for 3 to 6 years, the body should be used with a sense of space and direction. And a sense of balance in movement has to be created for 0 to 3 years, whereas develop a sense of balance and physical coordination for 3 to 6-year-old children. And the children of 0 to 3 years has to begin to display personal hygiene skills. 3 to 6 years, they should display appropriate, healthy and routine habits. 0 to 3 years old children should recognize the importance of safety rules, whereas the other group of people has to display the ability to make choices and to avoid danger. Then comes the domain language development. 0 to 3 years, they should begin to develop active listening skills. For 3 to 6 years, it comes along with the comprehension skills. And for both the classes, for both the age span, the use of expressive and receptive communication skill is needed. And for 0 to 3 years, it is developing verbal and non-verbal communication skills which has to become effective into 3 to 6-year-old children. Literacy skills has to be displayed by 0 to 3-year-old children, whereas for 3 to 6-year-old age group, they have to develop the display and love for reading. Then for 0 to 3-year-old children and for 3 to 6 years, the vocabulary and use of language to converse has to be developed. And display pre-writing skills like scribbling, marking, drawing among 0 to 3 years, whereas demonstration of interest and ability in writing for 3 to 6-year-old children. The next domain is cognitive development. As Piaget has neatly specified, Object permanence has to be developed in 0 to 3-year-old children. That is, knowing that objects have substance, maintain their identities when they change location, and continue to exist even when out of sight, which is not needed for 3 to 6-year-old children. Then in 0 to 3 years, they have to develop perceptual classification based on how things look, feel, and taste. Whereas 3 to 6-year-old children has to develop pre-number and number concepts and operations, as they are going to get into the operational stage. Then 0 to 3 years, a memory for objects, people, and events has to be developed. Whereas in this other group, the predicting the patterns and making estimations and measurements has to be developed. And 0 to 3-year-old children has to begin to develop vocabulary and skills related to comparing, classifying, and seriation. Whereas for 3 to 6-year-old children, they should develop skills related to sequential and critical thinking, observing, reasoning, and problem solving. Developing of skills related to observing, reasoning, and problem solving is also needed for 0 to 3 years, whereas at the same time, the 3 to 6-year-old has to learn to manipulate objects, ask questions, make predictions, and develop generalizations. Then the domain of creative and aesthetic appreciation. Both the groups has to represent objects and events in the form of drawing, clay modeling, etc. And they should learn to express, enjoy, and develop a disposition for music and movement. In addition, 3 to 6-year-old has to demonstrate creativity with materials. Then comes personal, social, and emotional development. Both the age groups should be aware of their abilities, preferences, and characteristics. In addition, 3 to 6-year-old children has to appreciate similarities and differences in people and become aware of their behavior and its action. Both the age groups should develop self-concept, self-control, and self-help skills, whereas 3 to 6-year-old children has to develop life skills. 0 to 3-year-old children has to display an awareness of behavior and its effect, whereas 3 to 6-year-old children should develop a sense of independence and autonomy. Both the age groups has to develop initiative and curiosity in learning. And the attachment and the emotional bonding with adults is very important for 0 to 3-year-old children, whereas for 3 to 6-year-old children, they have to display behaviors of cooperation, compassion, express and accept others' feelings. The 0 to 3-year-old children should display increased attention span and endurance in everyday activities, whereas the 3 to 6-year-old children should display relevant habits, increased attention span, and persistence in daily activities. Both of them has to develop a friendship with peers, show cooperation, participate in group activities. The relationship should extend to family, teachers, and community among 3 to 6-year-old children. For 0 to 3-year-old children, give them some stimulation to develop empathy, learn to manage feelings and express emotions in a relevant manner. Whereas for 3 to 6-year-old children, they should be able to adapt and control emotions. So, towards the end of this video, hope you got an understanding of the milestone goals to be accomplished by children of 0 to 3 years and to 3 to 6 years by means of a responsible early learning center. Moreover, this video would have helped you to comprehend the difference between the goals to be achieved at two different stages of early years. Let us have a look into the third video of this module on objectives and principles of ECCE with a content on guiding principles to formulate an ECCE framework. Thank you.